everyone, welcome back to another session. I hope you all are doing fine. So we started our discussion about the chapter 3, what is government, grade 6 CBSE, and we managed to understand what does the word government stand for, and also we completed levels of government and the laws and the government. Now I am going to talk of types of government, but I'm going to give you more detailed information on this. Before that, in case you guys forgot what do you understand by the word government, I would like to revise it with you. Government could be an institution, right? Or you can say many institutions that have the authority, institution that have the authority, the control to make laws or to rule a society. Fine. Does that make sense? In order to rule the society, a person, an institution, a setup that has the control, the legitimate right, the legal right, that is government. Right? But they're not supposed to use violence. No violence. You can't use violence to rule the people. Politics is struggle for power within the government, but without use of violence. Okay, chalo, let me make it very easy. You can't do something like this. Correct? All of you agree? So, America has a democratic form of government. To give you a basic idea, America has a government that is more democratic. But I have different forms of governments that we can learn. It's not given in your book. It is something extra. So, I'll clearly write something extra on this slide in case you are interested to learn. So, the first extra bit of information is when I say monarchy. Now, what is monarchy? It means rule of one. When you have the ruler who's going to rule. So, this is a classic example of monarchy. Traditional king, traditional emperor, he is going to rule. But now, in the modern day, if there is a monarchy, we also describe it as dictator. Right now, we don't have kings, but there is a person who rules, so we call him dictator. Easy? Chalo, let's move on to the next category, that is oligarchy. Extra, guys, this is extra. It means there is rule of the few. That means few people, rich people, or like we had some very rich people controlling the society, the military. Okay, let's say these people controlling the society. So that is a classic example of oligarchy. Fine, guys? Understood? Easy? Okay, do you want to learn the third kind? Let me introduce the third one, that is called theocracy. Originally, theocracy means the rule of God, but as you know, nowadays God really shows up and he can't really manage the affairs of the state. So when a religious leader is going to manage the affairs of the state, that is called theocracy. In the name of God's will. Right? So example, you can have most of the time, it's there in case of Iran. Let's move on to the fourth category, that is authoritarian. Like Hitler. Authoritarianism. Again, in authoritarianism, we have the right of political power that is controlled by a small group of people. Right? So, small group who are authoritarian, this should be the case. That is authoritarian. And the fifth one is totalitarianism. So, when I talk of totalitarianism, it means rule of the rich. Totally rule of the rich, the elite people. Who say, I control all aspects of your life. When are you supposed to breathe? When are you going to go to the bathroom? When are you going to take a bath? Everything. Right? So most of the societies agree that we need to have a democratic setup. That is what is given in your book. We believe in the power of the government. We need a system that is democratic, where people elect their rulers by the process that is called elections. You all know elections? So, these people who are elected as a ruler, they continue to rule for a specified time. Once they are elected, they form the government. First they are elected, right? Then they form the government. Then once they form the government, then of course after that they make laws. They rule us and make laws. And again after a specified time period, we've got elections again. Fine. But there's another one that I just told you. It is called monarchy. A king or a queen has the power to make decisions, right? And it might even might not have to consult the other set of people. Like in democracy, there's not one person, but there are ministers also whom the president, prime minister can consult. Right? But in a monarchy, there's just one king. He might seek help from the members of his court or the people of his darbar. And most of the time, he is not answerable. He says, how dare you question me? He is not answerable. I am the king. I am the Badshah. You can't raise questions. Fine, guys? Easy? So you've learned so much, so many forms of government. And that brings us to the last topic, democratic government. As I told you, USA was the first country to become democratic. So when I say we've got a democratic government, that means there is rule of law. By the way, democracy comes from two words. Democracy comes from two words. They are Greek words. Demos, which means people, and kratos, which means rule. Right? So democracy is a form of government in which people have the authority to choose to elect their ruler who's going to govern them. That is a democratic system. And over the years, we've struggled for this right, against what we were denied during the British rule. Now, most of the time, that's okay. Democracy is, in the earlier time, it was called a representative form of government. That's absolutely correct, because the representatives rule us. They are the people whom we elect, whom we put to power. It's not the people of the nation who directly participate in making laws. They are indirectly participating with the help of the leaders whom they elect. So this is a citizen. He has elected a minister and he's put him to power. So all the laws that are being made, they're made by their representatives. And these representatives, these ministers, they take decision for the entire nation. So this democracy has turned out to be a dream come true because of a right. Without this right, democracy is not real. It's called universal adult franchise. And in case you guys do not know what is universal adult franchise, it means you give right to the people who are of legitimate age, who can vote. You give them the right to vote irrespective of their caste, color, creed, gender. Right? You give everyone the right to vote. Right to vote to all adult citizens. So democracy has turned out to be true only because we've got universal adult franchise. Fine. But in the earlier government, let me tell you, women, they used to call themselves democratic, but women, they were not given right. People who were not educated, they were also denied right to vote. No voting. Irrespective of the wealth, we allow everyone to vote. The people who were not wealthy or who were not rich, again, they were denied the right to vote. That means poor people were not given. So a country that is ruled by most of the rules and regulations and is legitimate in its ruling, that allows everyone. Talk about India. Before independence, very small proportion of the people were given right to vote. That small proportion, as you guys know, that small proportion who was given the right to vote, they were none other than the Britishers. Right? We gave Britishers the right to rule the majority, that is Indians. They were in minority, they were few in number, but they were given the right to vote us. They were given the right to rule us, They were ruling us, right? But after independence, we said this is not done. We need to do away with this practice. We need equality. We need everyone to take part in election process. There was a journal that Gandhiji wrote, and that journal is Young India. It was written in 1931. He said, a person who's rich, who's wealthy, is only given, rich person is just given the right to vote. But a man who's very good with his character, who's got a very good consciousness, but is not rich, is not educated, you deny him the basic right to vote. His honesty does not work for you. So this is a crime on this poor person who's having a very good character. You can't do this. So that is where he talked about the equality or the right to vote. Fine. So if you want to know what is this journal, I'll also explain you what do you understand by journal that Gandhiji wrote. Journal basically means a magazine. It's more like a magazine that has a collection of articles. Fine, guys? So that is where Gandhiji talked of right to vote to everyone. So now you see everyone is given the right to vote. Even this person in the rural area is given the right to vote. And they mark their this ink on the hand so that only once you get a chance to vote during that period of election. Fine? So that's all for the session. In case you guys like the session, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.